Ben,
Jacob.
Ben, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Drinking from a mason jar like a hipster.
I did live for a while in Brooklyn.
Very, very hip of you. Very, very hip of you. Apparently, Chazi disagrees with me.
I mean, I understand it. Your point is kind of strange.
Apparently. Okay.
I wanted to show you something.
What would you like?
I finally got my
Tefillin?
no, that I got also. I can show you that too. But the other the Hasidic holiday that's about books.
Oh, yeah, the library thing. Yes.
Oh yeah. So they have something for So I got this. It looks pretty nice.
Torah studies, yeah, it is a fresh new reprint, which that actually looks really nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have bought it. Yeah. That book's been out of print for a while. Partially because it's online and people but apparently people have gone back to actually buying books. Just don't read it in the bathroom.
Yeah, no, we're not reading in the bathroom. Anyways, that's interesting. And I got this so I can know what to say to Chazi,
Oh, very nice.
With some Hasidic commentary.
Very nice.
And Daily Tanya.
Daily Tanya. Ooh, interesting.
This is, I told my wife too that this is kind of more for her as well.
Okay, very nice. Very nice.
Anyway, then we got a bunch of packing material that's basically for the cats. So.
The cat must be very happy. That was very nice of you to get packing material for the cat.
So that's their thing. That's what I got.
Very nice. Very nice. Tanya?
Tanya.
We are chapter 49, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go first, or should I?
I can go.
It's all you, my dear sir.
Okay. Okay. This is the beginning.
This is the beginning. Yes. Perik Memtet.
Okay. והנה, אף כי פרטי בחינות ההסתר וההלם, אור אין סוף ברוך הוא. So even though the particular aspects of the nature of the obscuring and concealment of the infinite light of the blessed אין סוף, בהשתלשלות העולמות עד שנברא עולם הזה הגשמי עצמו מספר, ומינים ממינים משונים, in the descent, the concealment in the descent of the worlds, descending as they do ever lower until this material world was created, are too numerous to count and are of too many diverse kinds. כידוע לתואמים מעץ החיים, as is known to those who have tasted of the tree of life of the Kabbalah. This is Chaim Vital, his book.
I mean, he's not specifically referring to people who've studied Raphael Vital, but generally Yodei Chen, the people who study esoteric things.
Okay, got it.
That it's he's not. I mean, yeah, it's Chaim of Raphael Vital is a particular book, and he may in fact be referring to something in that book, but this is also something that is just refers to people who study Kabbalah in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay. אך דרך כלל הם שלושה מיני צמצומים עצומים כלליים, לשלושה מיני עולמות כלליים, ובכל כלל יש ריבו רבבות פרטיים, והם שלושה עולמות בריאה, יצירה, עשייה. כי עולם האצילות הוא אלוהות ממש. Yet in general, there are three levels of powerful comprehensive contractions giving rise to three comprehensive worlds, each category consisting of myriads upon myriads of particulars.
Myriads.
These are the worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. Asiya is this world. For the world of Atzilut, it is
very careful. Okay, so when we say Asiya is this world, the world of action, right? We don't mean that it is disconnected from Chas v'Shalom, Atzilut, and Bria and Yetzirah in a physical manner, right? Yep. Because ultimately it's not. But and so when, for example, you say Amidah, I forget whether it's you are supposed to see yourself in the world of Bria or Atzilut. I don't have the Kabbalistic kavanot, but for people who actually read, and I mean they're printed in my Siddur, so I've seen them. But so in the Siddur, it mentions from here in the prayers until then in the prayers, you're in the following world or in the following world. So it doesn't mean that, okay, we're in Asiya, and even necessarily, I mean, the spiritual world of Asiya, it's a question of fitting into the correct patterns, right? If you living yourself in a pattern which aligns itself, hopefully, with all of the worlds all at the same time, but that's a very high level. At a lesser level, you can align yourself with the various worlds, and the higher the world in a particular sense, you are aligning yourself with greater holiness and revelation of God. But as we studied in Bati Lagani, Gani, and that's what the Rebbe explains in Bati Lagani, his inaugural address to Chabad Hasidim. The fact is that Ikar Shechina is in Asiya.
Mm-hmm.
I hope all of that was clear.
No, that was good. I appreciate the dwelling on that.
Cool.
Okay. וכדי לברוא עולם הבריאה, שאין נשמות ומלכים עליונים, אשר עבודתם להשם בבחינת חוכמה, בינה, דעת, המתלבשים בהם, והם משיגים ומקבלים מהם. So in order to create the world of Bria, which consists of the higher souls and angels whose service to God is in the sphere of Chabad, the intellectual faculties, which are clothed in them, and they, the souls and the angels, apprehend them and receive influence from them, from the intellectual faculties that influence them, that illuminates them. היה תחילת צמצום עצום כנזכר לעיל. There necessarily preceded a powerful contraction as mentioned above.
Right. So there is a contraction between Atzilut and Bria, which is qualitatively different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in fact, I mean, so there is such a difference between Atzilut and Bria that our sins cannot reach up to Atzilut at all.
Yeah. Okay. So, וכן, מבריאה ליצירה. So too, from בריאה to יצירה.
Although it's a lesser break between Bria and Yetzirah. Yes.
Right. כי אור מעט מזהר. כי אור מעט מזער המתלבש בעולם הבריאה, עדיין הוא בבחינת אינסוף לגבי עולם היצירה. For the minute portion of light, which clothes itself in the world of Bria, is still in a category of infinity in relation to the world of Yetzirah. So that the light of Bria had to undergo a powerful contraction before it was able to descend into Yetzirah. ואי אפשר להתלבש בו, אלא על ידי צמצום והעלם. וכן מיצירה לעשייה. And it is unable to clothe itself in the latter except through contraction and obscuration. So too from יצירה to עשייה. והוא כמו שנתבאר במקום אחר, ביור שלושה צמצומים אלו באריכות, לקרב אל שכלנו עדל. An elaborate explanation of these three contractions is given elsewhere in order to make them more accessible to our poor intellect.
I'm not sure where that note just says the parentheses are in the original.
Yeah. ותכלית כל הצמצומים הוא כדי לברוא גוף האדם החומרי, והוא לאקפיה לסטרא אחרא, ולהיות יתרון האור מן החושך. The purpose of all the contractions is the creation of the material human body and the subjugation by man of the Sitra Achra to bring about the preeminence of light supplanting darkness. בעלות האדם את נפשו האלוהית והחיונית ולבושיה, וכל כוחות הגוף כולן להשם לבדו, כנזכר לעיל באריכות. כי זה תכלית ההשתלשלות העולמות.
Sorry.
And when a person elevates his divine soul and his vivifying soul, the soul which receives its nourishment from the klipot through Torah and mitzvot, together with his garments, the thought, speech, and action, and all the powers of the body, it elevates them to God alone, as has been discussed at length. This is the purpose of the progressive descent of the worlds. So he's talking about the progressive descent. For this is the purpose of the progressive descent of the world. I mean, it's a descent and ascent at the same time, right? I mean, like if you're elevating yourself.
It's a descent for the purpose of ascent.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and hopefully this is all stuff we've talked before, but yeah.
והנה כמים הפנים לפנים, and as water mirrors the reflection of a face. I heard this somewhere. Did we talk about this?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot. So can lev adam el adam.
Oh, it's Bati Legani too. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is something Tanya talks about over and over again. It's from Ecclesiastes, I believe, or maybe Proverbs. It says, just as a so in Hebrew, I mean, it makes a lot more sense. Maim hapanim is a mirror, right? Because it used to be that people would use waters as mirrors, and with a bowl of water can be used as a kind of mirror, right? And so you kamayim hapanim el hapanim, just as a mirror reflects your face, ken lev adam el adam. In a similar manner, when what the heart of one man reflects what it is being shown from the other, right? So you show kindness to another person, they will show kindness to you. Yeah.
כמו שהקדוש ברוך הוא כביכול הניח וסילק לצד אחד דרך משל את אורו הגדול הבלתי תכלית, וגנזו והסתירו בגימל מיני צמצומים שונים, והכל בשביל אהבת האדם התחתון להעלותו להשם, as God has, as it were, laid down and set aside, figuratively speaking, his great infinite light, and has stored it away and concealed it by means of 3 different kinds of contractions, and all this because of his love for lowly man in order to raise him up to God. כי האהבה דוחקת הבשר, for love impels the flesh. So that the flesh will not impede it. Thus, because of God's love for his people, he, figuratively speaking, set aside his great light and concealed it through many contractions and so on. על אחת כמה וכמה, כפליים לאין קץ, כי ראוי לאדם גם כן להניח ולעזוב כל אשר לו מנפש ועד בשר ולהפקיר הכל. How much more, and an infinite number of times more, is it fitting that a man also should relinquish and set aside all that he possesses, both spiritually and physically, and renounce everything? בשביל לדבקה בו יתברך דביקה, חשיקה וחפיצה, ולא יהיה שום מונע מבית ומבחוץ, לא גוף ולא נפש ולא ממון ולא אישה ובנים, in order to cleave to him with attachment, desire, and longing, without any hindrance, within or without, neither of body nor soul, nor money nor wife and children. ובזה יובן טוב טעם ודעת לתקנת חכמים שתקנו ברכות קריאת שמע 2 לפניה וכולי. This will enable one to understand the eminently reasonable explanation of the rabbinic enactment ordaining the blessings, the recitation of the blessings of the Shema, 2 blessing preceding it, and so on. לכאורה, אין להם שייכות כלל עם קריאת שמע, כמו שכתבו הרשב"א ושאר פוסקים. For at first glance, it would appear that they have no connection whatsoever with the recital of the Shema, as Rashba and other halachic authorities have stated. Who's the Rashba?
The Rashba. So there are a few commentators on the Talmud who are very, very widely studied, and when you're trying to study the halacha, and the Shulchan Aruch often quotes basically like the Rashba as one. He's not one of the three pillars of halacha, but he's certainly like within the top 5 or 6, right? And so when you study Talmud, one of the, I believe it's Rabbi Shimon ben Aderet, but it is definitely one, yeah, Shlomo ben Aderet.
Shlomo ben Aderet.
Yeah, he lived in 1235 to 1310.
1245 to 1310.
35. So he's one of the great Rishonim. And apparently, I mean, the Alter Rebbe has been jumping from thing to thing, and I'm wondering when he's going to bring it all together. Because first he said Ma'im Panim al Panim, and then he jumped to leaving everything behind with that mashal of Kadosh Baruch Hu, and now he's talking about the brachot of Kriyat Shema.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure how he's going to bring all of this together. Maybe if I remembered my Tanya better, I would be able to say, hey, wait a minute. But even without remembering my Tanya better, I can generally say, hey, let's just keep on going, because the Alter Rebbe usually does wind everything up together.
Yeah. Right. So we said that lichora, it seems like the blessings before the Shema have nothing to do with the Shema itself.
Yeah. Yotzer Or and I believe Ahavat Olam are the two.
Ahavat Olam, Ahatenu, right. ולמה קראו אותן ברכות, ברכות קריאת שמע, ולמה תיקנו אותם לפניה דווקא? So, why then were they termed blessings of the Shema, and why was it ordained that they be recited specifically before it? אלא משום שעיקר קריאת שמע לקיים בכל לבבך וכולי, בשני יצריך וכולי. But the reason is that the essence of the recital of the Shema is to fulfill the injunction with all your heart, all your hearts, I guess, is what they're trying, right? That is with both inclinations. That the Jews love God with all of his heart.
Yeah, in the Hebrew, you can write heart with one bet or with two bets. And one thing that we say is that when you write it with one bet, it's with a unified heart, and with two bets, it's with a sort of ambivalence or division, right? So he's saying you're supposed to, when it says b'chol levavcha, it includes even with your Yetzer Hara.
Which is the connection to at least one of the blessing, which is Yotzer Or Borei Choshech, like creating light and creating darkness. דיינו לעמוד נגד כל מונע מאהבת השם. That is to say, to withstand anything that hinders him from the love of God. So you love God with all your heart, to withstand anything for both the animal and the godly soul, divine soul, in order to withstand anything that hinders you from the love of God. ולבבך הן האישה וילדיה, שלבבו של אדם קשורה בהן בטבעו, כמו שאמרו רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה על פסוק, הוא אמר ויהי זו אישה, הוא ציווה ויעמוד, אלו בנים. For your heart alludes to one's wife and her children, to whom a man's heart is, by his very nature, bound. So have the sages of blessed memory commented on the verse, For he spoke and it came to pass, that this refers to one's wife. He commanded and it stood fast, that this refers to the children. Interesting. ונפשך ומאודך, מאודך, כמשמעו חיי ומזוני. And by your soul. What is it?
This is it's Aramaic. Chaye umezone.
Chaye umezone. And by your soul and might is understood literally your life and sustenance. They too should not act as impediments to spiritual service. להפקיר הכל בשביל אהבת השם. All of those are renounced for the love of God. ואיך יבוא האדם החומרי למידה זו? But how can physical man attain this level? לכן סידרו תחילה ברכת יוצר אור, ושם נאמר ונשנה באריכות עניין וסדר המלאכים העומדים ברום עולם. It is to this end, therefore, that the blessings of Yotzer Or was introduced to be recited first. For in this blessing there is stated and repeated at length the account in order of the angels standing at the world's summit. להודיע גדולתו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, איך שכולם בטלים לאורו יתברך, ומשמיעים ביראה וכולי, ומקדישים וכולי, ואומרים ביראה הקדוש וכולי. כלומר, שהוא מובדל מהן, ואינו מתלבש בהן בבחינת גילוי. Just in English to say that how it says there that everybody's proclaiming his royalty and sanctity, how separated and elevated God is.
Right. So the first blessing is talking about the greatness and holiness of God, right? And talking about the sun and Yotzer Me'orot and the Malachim, and we have the Kedusha B'Yeshiva, right? We say a form of Kedusha. Yeah.
אלא מלא כל הארץ כבודו. היא כנסת ישראל למעלה וישראל למטה כנזכר לעיל. Rather, where is God revealed? The whole earth is full of his glory. Namely, the community of Israel, i.e. Malchut of Atzilut, the source of Jewish souls, which is called earth and Israel, on this earth below, as has been explained earlier.
I'm not sure where exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that exactly, but yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
I think we did talk about it for sure. The Knesset Israel, like
is
on the Kedusha.
Yeah, and the Malchut of Atzilut is made the Keter of Bria, which Bereshit bara, Bishvil Reshit bara.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Israel is called the Reshit. It's called the beginning. Okay.
You want to go to the next one?
Sure.
וכן, ואופנים וחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול וכולי, ברוך כבוד השם ממקומו, לפי שאין יודעים ומשיגים מקומו. So too we find in the aforementioned blessing of Yotzer in the Kedusha, the ofanim and the holy chayot with a mighty sound declare, blessed be the glory of the Lord. And may it be drawn down from its place, for they neither know nor do they apprehend his place. וכמו שאומרים, כי הוא לבדו מרום וקדוש. As we also say a few lines later, for he alone is exalted and holy. ואחר כך, ברכה שנייה, then follows the second blessing, which declares God's great love for the Jewish people. אהבת עולם, אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, כלומר שהניח כל צבא מעלה הקדושים. Lord your God, you have loved us with everlasting love. That is to say that he set aside all the supernal holy hosts, the heavenly angels, for they are not the ultimate intent of creation. וישרה שכינתו עלינו, להיות נקרא אלוהינו, כמו אלוהי אברהם וכולי, כנזכר לעיל. And he caused his Shekhinah to dwell upon us, the Jewish people, so that he be called our God in the same sense that he is called the God of Abraham, as explained earlier. והיינו כי אהבה דוחקת הבשר. That is, this is because love impels the flesh. So let's just אהבה דוחקת בשר. Both in Hebrew and in English, I'm having trouble with this.
Well, so דוחקת את הבשר, yeah, I mean impels. Let's read the note.
So love affects concealment and contraction. So too did God's love for his people bring about a certain contraction, in that he chose the service of Jewish souls in the state in which they are found here below, enclothed in physical bodies and in the finite world.
Right. So if
his love.
Yeah. Well, his love, but also our love, right? So he, if I understand him correctly, I mean,
right.
What's the better way of translating docheket, right? In one sense, it is to push off, but in another sense, it also means to
like the olives,
give force to, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, without in any way being graphic, a man who loves his wife, his love for her impels his flesh in two different ways. One is physically, and the other actually leaves the physical. Right? So there's a fleshly love, and there's a higher love, right? And the two, in a manner, coincide.
Yeah. Interesting. So let me know if you think I understand this correctly. So if we think of the two perspectives, one is God's love. So the love pushes, and again, we can look at it for different ways, but it pushes down the flesh, right? His love affects concealment and contraction. So it's something about it affects the flesh here.
Mm-hmm.
So he puts the. Yeah, it's hard to.
It causes. Okay, so in the first sense, it causes God to create that which is fleshly.
Right.
Right. And in the second sense, it's he kisses me with the kisses of his mouth, right? Which is something which transcends that physical desire.
Right. So yeah. So coming from God it's the concealment, it's the pushing down into the flesh here, and coming from us, it's the love that helps us break out.
Both are coming from God, and it's reflected, and I think that's why he. So now I get why he said it's reflected, right? So, again, without being explicit in the analogy, right? A man loves his wife in a physical way, and he loves his wife in a spiritual manner, which is reflected from her also both physically and spiritually. And that love impels the two of them in a way that, in one sense, gives vigor to the flesh, gives the flesh its capacity to be fleshly, and in a sense which transcends the fleshly completely.
Right. Interesting. Okay. ולכן נקרא אהבת עולם, שהיא בחינת צמצום אורו הגדול הבלתי תכלית, להתלבש בבחינת גבול הנקרא עולם. Therefore, this love on God's part is called Ha'avat Olam, literally a love of the world, for it refers to the contraction of his great and infinite light by assuming the garb of finitude, which is called Olam, world. בעבור אהבת עמו ישראל, כדי לקרבם אליו, להיכלל בייחודו ואחדותו יתברך. For the sake of his love for his people Israel, in order to bring them near to him, that they might be absorbed into his blessed unity and oneness through Torah and mitzvot. וזהו שאומרים חמלה גדולה ויתרה. This is also the meaning of what we say a little later in the same blessing, exceedingly abounding compassion. פירוש, יתרה על קרבת אלוהים שבכל צבא מעלה. Namely, a compassion exceeding the nearness of God toward all the hosts above. I'm going to read the note. God's nearness to them comes out of his sense of compassion for them. This can in no way compare to the compassion God feels for us, for which reason he draws us closer to him. The same blessing of Ahavat Olam then goes on to say, ובנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון, הוא הגוף החומרי, הנדמה בחומריותו לגופי אומות העולם. And you have chosen us from among all nations and tongues. This refers to the material body, which in its corporal aspects is similar to the bodies of the Gentiles of the world.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, he's talking about the heaven and earth coming together, right? You have the angels above, right, and then you have the world below, right, and in a very real sense, they come together in Israel, right, and that's why, I mean, that's an understanding of why these are brachot kriyat shema. These are the blessings of accepting the yoke of heaven through Shema Israel, hear, O Israel.
Yeah. Right, there is the all malchut and all, right, is that corresponding to, what is it, all malchut, the yoke of kingship and the yoke of heaven, all Shamayim?
Yeah. Yeah.
וקרבתנו וכולי, קרבתנו? קרבתנו. וקרבתנו וכולי, להודות וכולי, ופירוש הודאה, יתבאר במקום אחר, וליחדך וכולי, להיכלל בייחודו יתברך, כנזכר לעיל. And in the same blessing, and it says, and you have brought us near to give thanks, and the interpretation of thanks will be giving elsewhere. And proclaim your oneness, which means to be absorbed in his blessed unity, as has been explained above. Interesting. והנה כאשר ישים המשכיל אלה הדברים על עומקה דליבה ומוחה, אזי ממילא כמים הפנים לפנים. When the thinking person will reflect on these matters in the depths of his heart and brain, then as surely as water mirrors the image of a face, תתלהט נפשו ותתלבש ברוח נדיבה, להתנדב, להניח ולעזוב כל אשר לא מנגד ורק לדווקא בו יתברך, ולהיכלל באורו בדביקה, חשיקה וכולי, בבחינת נשיקין והתדבקות רוחה ברוחה, כנזכר לעיל. His soul will spontaneously be kindled with love for God, and it will clothe itself in a spirit of benevolence, willingly to lay down and resolutely to abandon all he possesses, for it will no longer be of major importance to him, in order only to cleave unto him and to be absorbed into his light with an attachment and longing and so forth, in a manner of kissing and with an attachment of spirit to spirit, as has been explained earlier. Yeah, I guess I mean, he's talking very passionately and very strongly about attachment.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to, I mean, for myself as well, I have to remember that this also doesn't mean that you are poresh min hatzibur. I mean, because in one sense he says things that are like remove yourself,
Right?
or like say, right. But in another sense, the Alter Rebbe is the guy that goes on Yom Kippur to the woman at the end, right? It was him.
Yeah, that's a chop boy, right?
Right,
So
to help the pregnant woman, yeah.
Yeah, so that's Ratzo V'Shov, right? So these are the two blessings of Kriyat Shema, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before Kriyat Shema, which is you withdraw spiritually, right? So Ner Havaya Nishmat Adam, right? The lamp of God is the soul of man, right? And just as when you have a fire on a candle, right?
Yeah.
It seems to grab up, it wants to jump away from its wick to towards holiness.
Mm-hmm.
But then it at the same time it has to be linked to the wick and the oil that it draws up, right, through the lantern, however the wick is made, right? Mm-hmm. That in a similar manner, our souls have Ratzo V'Shov, right? They want to leave this world for their love of God, right? And in the same sense, they have to be here in the world, in our material bodies, in order to bring godliness down below, right? And that tension and that combination is important, and like that is Ratzo V'Shov, that is the back and forth, right? Which in a very real sense, I mean, I'm not going to graphically describe the analogy here, but there's a very passionate analogy here, both by kisses and by physical union.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that, but and I also think about it intellectually. I mean, in terms of talking to people, this seems so hard because it seems like you should be so. It seems like you should be so resolute in one modality, and then you need to be resolute to the other end. You know what I mean? Like there's like, and I feel like for myself and for I'm sure for myself as well, and for other people, I feel like there is a sense of like, so what's the answer? And then I know I can move there. You know, it's okay. I just need to go there. But no, it's like move there, and then you need to go back here, and then move back there, and then go back here.
This is
very hard.
This is the tension of Hasidic philosophy, And I have to say, this is what I really did not understand until I started studying cognitive behavioral therapy, right?
Yeah.
Is this tension, this eternal tension of, yeah, there are no easy answers. There is only your capacity to try to, you know, bring heaven and earth together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's um, a last graphic analogy that comes to mind as well is the old way of making fire, and it's like creating friction, right? It's like you gotta, and
Yeah.
then like yeah, moving things around and creating friction between them,
Yeah.
moving back and forth creates this fire,
Yeah.
which obviously fire endless symbolism and whatever.
Yeah.
So there's something with that friction and that movement that is so, and obviously from a psychological perspective, like you said, with cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yeah. It has
something
life
very.
to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
אך איך היא בחינת התדבקות רוחה ברוחה, but how does this attachment of spirit to spirit takes place? So, and i.e., what measures are to be taken if one seeks to desire only to cleave to him? לזה אמר, והיו הדברים האלה כולי על לבבך ודיברת בם וכולי. Basically quoting the Shema. To this end it is stated, and these words shall be upon your heart, and you shall speak of them. וכמו שכתוב בעץ חיים, שייחוד הנשיקין, עיקרו הוא ייחוד חוכמה בינה דעת, בחוכמה בינה דעת, והוא עיון התורה. As is explained in Etz Chaim, the union of kissing, which incorporates the union of attachment of spirit to spirit, is essentially the union of Chabad with Chabad. The union of man's Chokhmah, Binah, and Dat with God's. That is concentration in the Torah. And I think that's kind of what we spoke about. We spoke about Nishikin, about kissing before, and how the Torah.
Yeah.
והפה הוא מוצא הרוח וגילויו בבחינת גילוי, והיינו בחינת הדיבור בדברי תורה. While the mouth, as the outlet of the breath and its emergence into a revealed state, represents the category of speech engaged in words of the Torah. As we quote, כי על מוצא פי השם יחיה האדם. כי על מוצא פי השם יחיה האדם.
Yeah, so that verse starts out. It says, "It's not by bread alone that a man lives, but all the things which are brought forth from the mouth of God."
Where is that from?
I want to say Devarim, but it says Ibid. Yeah, Deuteronomy, but chapter 8.
Right. So, by the word by the word that proceeds from God's mouth, does man live?
Yeah. The spiritual aspects, not bread alone.
Yeah. But bread also. ומכל מקום, לא יצא ידי חובתו בערעור ועיון לבדו. However, one does not fulfill his one obligation by meditation and deliberation alone. עד שיוציא בשפתיו כדי להמשיך אור אינסוף ברוך הוא למטה עד נפש החיונית השוכנת בדם, האדם, המתהווה מדומם צומח וחי. So you don't fulfill this obligation unless one expresses the words with his lips in order to draw the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof downward, even unto the vivifying soul, which dwells in the blood of man, which in turn is produced by the intake of food from the mineral, vegetable, and animal worlds. כדי לעלות כולן להשם עם כל העולם כולו ולכללן בייחודו ואורו יתברך, אשר יאיר לארץ ולדרים בבחינת גילוי ונגלה כבוד השם וראו כל בשר וכו'. One thereby elevates them, the vivifying soul and the mineral and the vegetable and the animal world, to God together with the entire universe, and causes them to be absorbed in his blessed unity and light, which will illumine the world and its inhabitants in a revealed manner, and the glory of God shall be revealed. Quote, all flesh shall see it. שזהו תכלית השתלשלות כל העולמות, להיות כבוד השם מלא כל הארץ, הלזו דווקא בבחינת גילוי, לאפחה, חשוכה, לנאורה, ומרירה למיתקה, מיתיקה.
Mitka, yeah, bitter, sweet.
Yeah. כנזכר לעיל באריכות. For this is the purpose of the progressive descent of the worlds, that the glory of God may pervade this physical world, especially in a revealed manner, to change the darkness of klipot into the light of holiness and the bitterness of the world, whose life force is from klipot noga, into the sweetness of goodness and holiness, as has been explained above in chapter 36 at length. וזהו תכלית כוונת האדם בעבודתו, להמשיך אור אין סוף ברוך הוא למטה. And this is the essence of the intent of man's work, to draw the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof down below. רק שצריך תחילה העלאת מים נוקבין. However, the initiative must come through the elevation of מים נוקבים, literally female waters. Literally female, which in Kabbalistic terminology signifies the arousal and elevation of the female, i.e. the recipients. We didn't want to be too graphic, but this is giving us that. למסור לו נפשו ומאודו כנזכר לעיל. Surrendering to him one's soul and one's all, as has been explained above.
So the feminine waters, meaning that it has to start from below, an arousal from below, which, wow, this is very, very, very long.
It's a whole book. It's not a note.
Yeah, this is I mean, this is like a whole chapter. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, the Rebbe asks 6 questions. If somebody wants to go read this, they can read this. I will simply say that there is the analogy here is too graphic to discuss publicly. One day when you're married, you'll sit and you'll learn with somebody who's married, and you'll understand this stuff. Okay, next chapter.
Next chapter.
והנה כל בחינות ומדרגות אהבה הנזכרות לעיל, הן מסתרא דימינה ובחינת כהן איש. So when we discussed all of this love, it is something from the right side, right? The Kohen, the man of kindness. Oh, Kesef HaKadashim, and they are referring to as a longing for holy things. Like it says, Nichsaf, Nichsof Nichsafti Lebeit Avicha, right? From this language of Nichsof, right? I have, in a sense, been blanched, right?
Yeah.
Kesev refers to white and silver. אך יש עוד בחינת אהבה העולה על כולנה כמעלת הזהב על הכסף. Right? But when we talk about this kesef, right, it's the same word as silver in Hebrew, and there's a love which is even greater than this, like how much greater is gold than silver. Vehi ahava kerishpei esh, and this is a fiery love, like glowing waters. Burning love, unlike the aforementioned forms of love, which are essentially like water, for the soul is drawn with a yearning toward God, like water which flows and is attracted in a certain direction. Hence, in the wording of the prayer for rain, said on Shmini Atzeret, remember our forefather who was drawn after you like water. This love, on the other hand, has a totally different quality, that of glowing coals of fire. Gevurot Elionot Debina Ila'a. Right? This is coming from the left side. So it's Gevurah, right? It's aspects of severity, Bina, right? Which is drawn from one to the other. Yes.
Okay, yeah, so using water and fire to kind of help us track also from this feeling.
And just as water comes down and fire goes up, right? So the right side is the masculine, the left side is the feminine, right? Yeah. מבחינת גבורות עליונים דבינת עילה. דהיינו, that is to say, שעל ידי התבוננות בגדולת אין סוף ברוך הוא, דחולה קמא קלה ממש חשיב, right? That everything before God is as if it was nothing. תתלהט ותתלהב הנפש לעיקר תפארת גדולתו, להסתכלה ביקרא דמלכה, right? So, through being a true flame of this left side, you actually reach the center, which is Tiferet, right? By having appreciating the greatness of God. Like a fire is drawn upwards. ולהיפרד מהפתילה והעצים שנחזת בהם, right? As if it were trying to escape from the fire or the wick that it is burning from. והיינו על ידי תגבורת יסוד האש אלוקי שבנפש האלוקית, right? So this is through, this results from the predominance of the element of divine fire that is in the divine soul. Unlike other forms of love, which derive from the elements of water in the divine soul, right? So there's a passionate love and there's a fluid love. ומזה באה לידי צמאון, כמו שכתוב שמה לך נפשי, right? That this is what brings a thirst for God, like the verse says, my soul thirsts for thee. ואחר כך לבחינת חולת אהבה, to the point of becoming lovesick, right? ואחר כך באה לידי קלות הנפש ממש, כמו שכתוב גם קלטה נפשי, right? To the point that a person is mitpatel, a person becomes as if nothing, right? Because they completely forget themselves out of a love for God. והנה מכאן יצא שורש הלוויים למטה, right? So we talked about first we talked about the Kohen, right? And now we're talking about the Levi'im. What is the work of a Kohen? The Kohen um, brings the actual um,
Sacrifice.
the actual sacrifices. The Levi'im, however, they carry the utensils and they sing. They accompany the sacrifices with singing, right? So there's two different types of service in the temple, that Kohen and the Levi. So we're going to talk about that, the service of the Levi. ולעתיד שהעולם יתעלה יהיו הם הכהנים. And in the future, the Levites shall be the Kohanim. Unlike now, when Levites are secondary to them, as it is written, they shall accompany you and serve you. Don't let Chazi hear this. It'll get to his head, right? וכמו שאמר הארי זכרונו לברכה על פסוק והכהנים הלוויים, right? The Arizal explained there's a verse, it seems to be saying HaKohanim HaLevi'im, the priests who are Levi'im, right? שהלוויים של עכשיו יהיו כהנים לעתיד. Those who are Levites today will in the future be Kohanim. ועבודת הלוויים הייתה להרים קול רינה ותודה בשירה וזמרה בניגון ונעימה, right? So they were bringing forth the music, right? בבחינת רצו ושוב. This is the advance and retreat we discussed before, running and returning. שהיא בחינת אהבה עזה זו כשלהבת היוצא מן הבזק. What is a bazak?
Bazak could be like hevzik, maybe.
It's a crucible for refining gold. Okay. Such is the nature of this intense love, like a flame that flashes out of the crucible, as is mentioned in the Gemara. I did not learn that Gemara. This is not something that we can explain clearly in writing. רק כל איש נלבב ונבון המשכיל על דבר ומעמיק לקשר דעתו ותבונתו בהשם. Each person has to try to understand this himself through what he is capable of understanding. ימצא טוב אור הגנוז בנפשו המשכלת, כל חד לפום שיעורה דילי. Each person, so these are the types of things which we do not explain even before one person, because each person has a capacity to understand them which is according to their own soul, and they have to understand them as best that they themselves can understand them.
So when can I ask for a recap about like the fire and the water? I'm still trying to track the fire and the water and the Levites and the Kohanim.
So
I kind of lost it, I think.
Okay, so there's two aspects. There's the masculine and there's the feminine. There's that which comes down, which is like water which flows, and then there's that which goes up, which is like fire, which is goes grasping up, right? So this, I mean, it's a fundamental analogy that goes throughout Jewish understanding, which is Chesed is masculine and like water.
Right.
And Gevura, din, is feminine and like fire.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also, I mean, this is a far less developed analogy. There's the analogy of the Kohen, which is like the masculine, and the Levi, which is like the feminine.
Okay.
And in a very real sense, he's saying, okay, take these things and try to understand them as best you can understand them yourself. But when it comes to the love of God, right, until certainly this previous chapter was talking about a love that is from our side, right, from God's masculine aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right, which comes down to us, right, through his understanding his greatness, right?
Yeah.
But really, what needs to ultimately happen is from our side, we as the feminine, right? We are God's bride. We need to have a love of God which sweetens the Gevurot, right? Which reflects the other way, right? Which starts from below in Itaruta Delatata, an
Mm-hmm.
awakening from below, which goes out from us. And I mean, he hasn't said much other than to point to this symbolic structure of there's the right side and there's love and then there's fear, right? And love is from the chesed, is from the right side and is masculine and is like water, right? And then there's fire and the Leviim and the feminine, which is from Gevura and Yira, right? And I mean, yeah, I mean, I can describe this symbolic framework, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it gives a little bit more. I think just going through it,
Mhm.
and just even the easy task of me understanding, yeah, with the patterns, or like what things are connected with what, like the chesed with water, just remembering that again,
Yeah.
so that I'm solid on that, and then I can kind of move from there and kind of think about it more
Okay.
deeply, like I said.
Good. Good. Yeah. I mean, this paragraph is worth reading aloud again. ואי אפשר לבאר עניין זה היטב במכתב, רק כל איש נלבב ונבון המשכיל על הדבר ומעמיק ולקשר דעתו ותבונתו בהשם, ימצא טוב ובאור הגנוז בנפשו המשכלת, כל חד לפון שיעור הדילי. It is impossible to explain this subject clearly in writing, yet every person with a feeling heart who is understanding and intelligent in grasping a subject and delves deeply to attach his mind and understanding to God will find the goodness and light concealed within his intelligent soul. And this is the important part. Kol chad lefum shiur adilei, each according to his capacity.
Right.
Yeah? Yesh mitfael yesh mitfael. One is affected in one way from one type of meditation, and one is affected in another way by a different form of meditation. אחרי קדימת יראת החטא, להיות צור מרע בתכלית שלו Lihiyot avonotechem mavdilim chulu chas v'shalom. After prefacing this meditation by fear of sin, the fear of doing wrong by sinning in order to become utterly removed from evil, withholding oneself from doing any wrong, to avoid your transgressions interposing between you and God, God forbid, right? So he's in this chapter, unlike the previous chapter, he is focusing on the left side and Sur Mera and Ira and yeah.
Right.
והנה סדר העבודה בעסק התורה והמצוות הנמשכת מבחינת אהבה עזה זו היא בבחינת שוב לבד. The order of one's divine service through occupation with Torah study and mitzvot, a service deriving from this intense love, is possible only in a manner of retreat, when the soul withholds itself from expiring in order to fulfill the divine intent, which can only be realized when the soul remains within the body. כמו שכתוב בספר יצירה, ואם רץ לבך, שוב לאחד. פירוש, ואם רץ לבך היא תשוקת הנפש שבלב בחלל הימיני, כשמתגברת ומתלהבת ומתלהטת במאוד מאוד, עד קלות הנפש ממש להשתפך אל חיק אבי חיי החיים ברוך הוא, right? As is written in Sefer Yetzirah, if your heart hastens, return to one. If your heart hastens, referring to the craving of the soul that is in the right side of the heart, the abode of the divine soul. When this craving predominates and bursts into flame and glows in such rapture that the soul is consumed with a desire, kalut hanefesh, to pour itself out into the embrace of its father, its source who gives one life, right? Wants to go back to godliness.
Mm-hmm.
ולצאת ממאסרה בגוף הגופני וגשמי לדווקא בו יתברך, right? Wanting to escape from this prison of this material body, right? To attach to God. Azai zot yashiv el libo. That's when you have to remind your heart, right? Ma'amar Rabbeinu Zechronon Bracha ki al korchacha ata chai. You have to remind yourself. This is one of my favorite Mishnahs in Pirkei Avot.
Mm-hmm.
Despite yourself, you must live, right? This is it's not your choice to go live in heaven. Baguf hazeh lachayoto kedei lahamshich hachayim elyonim chayei hachayim baruch hu lamata. Al yedei Torat Chaim, right? Because your entire job is to bring godliness into the world from the source of all life through his life-giving Torah into this world. Lihyot dira b'tachtonim lachduto yitvarach b'bechinat gilui, so that there should be a revealed dwelling place for God in this world. Kemo shenidvar la'il, like was explained above. Like it says in the Holy Zohar, so that there shall be one in one. Perish. That means that the oneness of God, which has been hidden in this world, should come to be something revealed completely. And that is what we say in the prayers on Friday night. Come, my beloved, to meet the bride, denoting kilut hanefesh, the negation of the soul. In this form of the love of God, one's kilut hanefesh should be expressed through causing my beloved to come, Lacha Dodi, Likrat Kala, right? Through drawing down the beloved one, God Himself, so that godliness will be revealed in this netherworld. ובזה יובן מאמר רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה על כורחך אתה חי ועל כורחך, right? That it says it's against your I mean, we can actually look up that it's this is one of my favorites, what you call it, which it's Avot 422.
Read chapter 5 or 4. Trying to think.
I believe you guys are
5.
Yeah. Okay. So הוא היה אומר הילודים למות והמתים להחיות והחיים לידון, לידע להודיע ולהיוודע שהוא כל, הוא היוצר, הוא הבורא, הוא המבין, הוא הדיין, הוא עד, הוא בעל דין והוא עתיד לדון, ברוך הוא שאין לפניו לא עוולה ולא שכחה ולא מסור בנים ולא כך שוחד שהכל שלו, ודע שהכל לפי החשבון, ואל ירתיחך יצרך שהשאול בית מנוס לך. And don't let your evil inclination assure you that you will have a place of refuge in the grave. שעל כורחך אתה ידמצא, that against your will you were created. ועל כורחך אתה נולד, and against your will you were born. ועל כורחך אתה חי, and against your will you live. ועל כורחך אתה מת, and against your will you will die. ועל כורחך אתה עתיד ליתן דין וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. And against your will you will in the future give an account of your life before the King of Kings, the Blessed Holy One, God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yeah. No, I'm just reading. I'm reading my my Pirkei Avot book, trying to see if there's a good parable here, right? No.
Okay.
Anyway. Cool.
Okay. כמו שכתוב בזוהר הקדוש, זהו שאומרים לך דודי, ובזה יובן מאמר רבותינו זכרם לברכה, על כורחך אתה חי ועל כורחך אתה you will die. Yeah. ואלא איך יהיה רצונו. What then should be your desire, right? If it's against your will that all of these things happen. כמו שנדבר במקום אחר באריכות על משנה זו, על כורחך אתה חי בעזרת חיי החיים ברוך הוא. This is explained elsewhere at length with reference to the Mishnah, despite yourself you must live with the help of the life of life, blessed be he, who enables you to cope with the compulsion to live despite yourself. Where is, when he says, okay, so note by the Rebbe for
that's what I was reading, sort of.
Brief explanation and reason for all of the above, see Torat Chaim Vayishlach discourse beginning of Vayikach, chapter 4, based on Torah or 25b. See also Acharei Mot 5649, page 25 and following. Acharei Mot 5649 would be a discourse of a particular Rebbe given in that year. 5649, what year is 5649? Um, uh, 1889 around. So that would quite possibly be during the life of the Alter Rebbe. I mean, Torah Or, if it's based on Torah Or 25b, I'm a big fan of Torah Or.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understood everything clearly, and there's no questions that can be had about any of this stuff because it's really easy, simple stuff, right?
I mean, there's stuff. Yeah, there's definitely stuff to review here and to build out.
Well, let's see here. There are 50.
I think.
There are 53 chapters, and we just finished 50. So 3 more chapters, and we will be in Shar Yichud Ve'amunah, which, although it is my favorite part of Tanya, may, in fact, many people would say it is the hardest section of Tanya.
Interesting. Hardest in terms of like more Kabbalistic, more esoteric. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is where he waxes most esoteric.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of why are these two separate books, Likutei Amarim, Sha'ar Echad Emunah, those specifically are there?
Well, okay. I mean,
we might have touched on.
Ultimately, we believe everything is done for a good reason. But what happened was that Likutei Amarim Tanya was one composition, and it was printed, and there were people who were printing their own versions of it, including making what some would say is deliberate misteachings and whatever. I mean, and then so there were other printings of Tanya which were tried to be superior, and so they included more things, including various parts. So Shar Yichud Ve'amunah was added. Igeret HaTeshuvah, which is a letter on repentance, was added. Igeret HaKodesh, which is a collection of the Alter Rebbe's letters, were added, and finally Kuntres Acharon was added. And these were all things which were printed with Tanya, partially to show that no, we have the correct manuscripts. We are that this is so there can be a kind of competition for best version of a book in Jewish libraries, right? So, for example, Satmar decided to come out with its own version of Shulchan Aruch Harav, which is the Alter Rebbe's commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, now, so for a long time, the only version which was available was the Chabad version, and Satmar got into a fight with Chabad, and they put out their own version, which also happens to be newly typeset, and they were like, this is easier to read, and it became a whole question because certain people preferred the Satmar version of the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Yeah. And then Chabad more recently came out with a 6-volume annotated version with like footnotes and stuff, right? And so, like, I mean, people who, despite themselves, don't necessarily want to buy Kahat books ended up like having to buy it because it's got all the notes and it's got all the other things, right? And so adding appendices to books was for some time a way of establishing your bona fides as this is like there were fights between different print houses.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, that's part of the reason why all of these things were printed at the back of Tanya, the actual book Likutei Amarim. But with the calendar as it is, as it's been set up by Chabad Hasidim, so from the 19th of Kislev to 19th of Kislev, you're supposed to go through all 5 sections.
Really? Also, including the Kuntra Sacharon and that? I don't remember seeing that. Maybe.
If you look at the actual luach, if you look at the actual way it's, in your chitat, right? So the first day of Tanya, so you have your chitat?
I do have my chitat. Yeah, I didn't know there was a calendar. I have the Tanya here, but I didn't see the calendar.
I will show you the calendar and you will be amazed.
מורה שיעור לשנה מעוברת?
So there's Shana Pshuta and Shana Meuberet.
Well, we are in Meuberet, yeah.
Okay, so when you look at on the first page where it says Sefer Likutei Amarim, right? On the left side, you'll see it says Yud Tet Sefer. So the left side is Shana Meuberet. The right side is Shana Peshuta. You see the notes? You're looking on this page. You see this page?
No. I was at the end. Yours is bigger. I can't
Mine is much bigger. Yeah, I got the nice big one. But it. So on the right margin, it says Yud Tet from Sefer, right? And
I see it. Yeah.
Right, and it's Kislev Shana Peshuta, and on the left side it's Kislev Meuberet, right? And that's where you start, and you go until on page 4 in the Haskama, right? It's Yud Tet Haskama, it's Chaf on a Shana Meuberet, right? Because you on a Shana Pshuta, on a Shana Meuberet, the first day is actually until Be'ezrat Hashem on page 4. Yeah, it's been a while since I used this very well. But you see how there's on the margins, there's a ruach for going through the entire year. And today is actually Tu B'Shvat, right? So, and this is a Shana Meuberet. So, Shana Meuberet, today is Tu B'Shvat.
What's Shvat? Av, did we go Av? Tisha B'Av? We did go Tisha B'Av. Was it last year?
What?
Yeah. Tisha B'Av was last year, right?
Tisha B'Av? What do you mean Tisha B'Av was last year?
Yeah, the last Tisha B'Av wasn't of this year. Was like of the last year.
It was this past summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Shvat. Okay, Shvat. Got it.
So I don't. I'm on Adar Sheni.
Close.
Adar Rishon. Shvat, right? And so Yud Gimel Shvat, Tu B'Shvat, On the Shana Me'uberet would be...
Yutaf. 2.
Starts V'harei.
והרי, הרי דיבורו מחשבתו כביכול מיוחדות עמו בתכלית הייחוד.
Yep. So that's how the Luach works.
So, and this is Perek Kaf Aleph. So this is chapter 21.
Yep. In Likutei Amarim.
So for now we're way ahead of them.
For now, I mean, it starts on Yutet Kislev.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be behind very, very soon because where are we now? We're on chapter 50.
50, yeah.
Which is even in a Shana Me'uberet, chapter 50 is Chafbet ER. So about a month after Passover, they'll be here.
So Tehillim, does it also have this kind of luach?
Tehillim, Tehillim is divided either in 30 days or, so if you go to Tehillim, it's a little bit before, right? So you'll see it says, like, when you start, it says Yom Echad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Tehillim is split up both according to 30 days, so that for those who say the entire book every month, and by the days of the week for the people who say the entire book every week.
Okay.
My recommendation is to start, if you want to recite. So the Chabad Shiurim, daily Shiurim, right? So Chitat, right? So what do you have? What do you halachically have to do, right? So every Jewish male is actually required every week to do Shnaim Mikra V'chad Targum. So that's reading the week's Parsha twice and once with a translation. So you can rely on going to the synagogue on Saturday for one of those, and you can read it in English or with Targum Onkelos or with Rashi or whatever as your translation, and you're supposed to read it one more time, right? So the way Chabad does that is on Sunday you read the first Aliyah, on Monday you read the second Aliyah, right? So 7 days of the week you have the 7 Aliyot of the week, right? So that's Chumash. And then Tehillim, if you can do it according to the weeks, that's 7 days of the week, that's nice. You read 1/7 every day. But if not, you do it according to the month. And then you have Tanya. So that's Chitat. That's the Chabad Luach plus Hayom Yom plus Rambam. Either you do Sefer HaMitzvot, or you do one parak of Rambam a day, or you do 3 prakim of Rambam a day. And then there are other, Chabad doesn't participate in this as much as other Jewish communities do, but there's Mishnah Yomit, there's Daf Yomi, there's Mishnah Brura Yomi, there's Chafetz Chaim Yomi, like making these types of calendars. As my Chovot HaLevavot, I was trying to force CW to do Chovot HaLevavot according to the calendar, but I actually would love to see CW make a commentary like that. But there's all kinds of calendars like this for studying things.
Yeah. Bit of rhythm. Yeah, it's good. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's very good to have a structure around this stuff that you.
And it's
Yeah.
nice partially because it keeps the community in a real sense on the same page.
Right. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have friends like in the Chabad. They would either mention Rabbi Gordon's joke from from the day like when he goes through the daily Chumash. Yeah, or there. Yes, it's funny.
There you go.
It really does.
Yeah, it gives you, it regulates the communal life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else before we end the stream?
Do you have any other questions about the chitat? I don't think so. Pretty good.
If you have more questions, you should ask an actual rabbi who knows something.